Hey guys, it's RJ from The Secret Stacks, and I just got finished watching episode 1 of The Magicians, and I gotta say, I actually really liked it, which was interesting because I really didn't like the novel. Now, The Magicians is based on the novel by the same name by Lev Grossman. It follows a college-age kid named Quinn who's invited to Break Bills, a magical college where you learn to become a magician, which is more like a wizard, not actually like a magic trick magician. Now, if that sounds a lot like Harry Potter, it's because it is. But if you're going into this looking for an adult Harry Potter, you're going to be disappointed. That's what a lot of people bill this book as. It's how they advertise the book. And I think that's why so many people dislike it. The Magicians is a much more pessimistic view on both magic and the magical world, and also the real world in which it's set. Quinn is probably the most dislikable character that I've ever encountered in anything I've ever read. And that follows into the show. They tone down some of his worst parts a little bit. You don't like him, but the good thing is you don't have to. The actor does what he's supposed to do. And while Quentin is our lens into this world, the show can stand without you empathizing with this main character. Now, the show tackles head on a lot of the problems that the book faced, and I think really improves upon them. I describe the plot as a wandering line. It's not the fastest way to get from point A to point B, but you can sort of see where it's going the whole time, and everything happens in chronological order. You know where it's heading, but everything happens in a way that sets up what comes next. The show does a much better job of creating a circular plot, or even global, where you're getting hints and setup for the end. And I think that really makes it a much stronger, much fuller feeling story. Now, what's also cool is they put a clock, literally a clock on the show. And I think that that really drives the sense of urgency in a way that the book didn't have. It makes for a much faster paced show. So much so that by the end of the first episode, you're about a quarter of the way through the book. Hopefully they use this as an opportunity to build a much fuller and richer world at Break Bills instead of just rushing to the end of the story. Now, another main difference between the book and the show is Quentin's childhood friend Julia has a much bigger impact. She's a big part of book 2, but by bringing her forward in book 1 and showing you her journey, it both makes her a much more impactful character as the show moves forward, but it also gives you a sense of life outside of Break Bills and sets the stakes in a way that I think are pretty cool. As for the rest of the casting, I think Elliot is a fantastic choice. Sorry I don't know the actor's name, but he does a really good job of being a physical presence and that cool upperclassman is exactly what you're looking for. Now, my biggest complaint here is Alice. They set her up much more severe in the show, and I think that really hurts where her character is going. In the book, she's much more mousy and quiet, and is still a bookworm, but it's almost as if in the show they're setting her up as that girl in the glasses from the teenage movies, where suddenly she'll take off her glasses and she's the most prettiest girl in the school. And I think that takes away from some of the depth that her character has. She's one of my favorite characters in books. So I'm hoping this is just an initial misstep and not something that's going to take away from her character as a whole, because there aren't that many likable characters in the show. Now, there's other smaller complaints, like I think Break Bills, they did a weird thing where it's got both the classic Ivy League feel, but also some really new age buildings. But all that stuff's minor. The important thing I think that the show needs to do is really flesh out the world at the school and also magic itself. In the books, Lev Grossman tells you again and again how tedious magic is. And you hear enough times, you're going to believe it. I think that does a disservice to some potential excitement that the show can bring. And I'm glad to see that they haven't gone down that path. The books had a lot of potential, but they didn't quite hit with me. So I'm really looking forward to continue watching the show to hope it gives some of that depth and some of that drive that I thought that the book lacked. A lot of people feel passionately about the books, and I'm no different. Just talking about the show right now is making me want to make a booktube video about the novels, because it really, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just one of the most frustrating experiences because the potential is really there. If you want a spoiler-free review, I'm going to add a link below down a booktube video by Mercury Calling. She did a review after reading only about the first third of the book, so it's a great way to get a sense of what the book's like, but also not be spoiled by anything because she hasn't gotten that far yet. And now that I'm talking about the show, I'm probably going to make a book review of The Magicians myself, just because There's something about it that makes you want to talk about it, no matter how frustrated you get. Now, you can watch episode 1 right now on YouTube. I'll leave a link down below. Just be aware that it ends in a pretty severe cutoff cliffhanger. It's really meant to be a 2-part premiere, and it will air on SyFY as a 2-part premiere on January 25th. It's an interesting marketing tactic they've got going on here, where the first show, even more so than a storytelling device, it's to get you to watch that premiere, and especially the second episode. So right, guys, that's it for now. Let me know if you guys watched the premiere, and tell me what you think down in the comments below. See ya.